forever begin?
Okay.
And
Okay.
I know. And so that's what I was struggling with. And so in my brain, I'm thinking, well, it's already begun for Pete because I'm alive. It started when I was conceived, because I believe life starts at conception.
Okay.
It started when I was conceived and goes on for eternity because I'm going to spend eternity in heaven with Jesus, right? So if our purpose for being here is to enjoy God forever, why aren't I enjoying him now? Or I ask myself this, am I enjoying God now?
Welcome to the In Pursuit of podcast, brought to you by CBHN, the Christian Business Harvest Network. These episodes highlight and celebrate those who are passionately pursuing their God-given purposes, leaning into our faith to rise and challenge the boundaries of possibilities.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the In Pursuit of podcast. Today, we're in conversation with Pete Rogers. Why? Because he is the completely opposite of me. He actually enjoys God's country. He gets out into the backwoods, and you never know what he's going to drag back with him on the way back into what I would call a civilized life form, like a proper roof, like HVAC, heating, and AC. My man Pete is in there doing his thing. Pete, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Hey, I'm really excited to be here, Shiraz. Thanks for having me.
One of the things that I love doing is surrounding myself with people that are completely different, and that's not hard to find because I'm kind of off the kilter quite a bit of the time. And when I found out about what you do, well, as a matter of fact, why don't you tell the audience what you do?
Well, I have a couple of jobs. I work for the United States Department of Agriculture. This is my full-time job. It's what pays the bills, but I'm also hosting Christian Outdoors podcast. And we started that in 2019. We have a little over 200 episodes now. We do one every Monday. A new one comes out, Shiraz,
Okay.
and I interview people who make a significant portion of their living or their passion is doing things outdoors, whether it's hunting or camping or backpacking, fishing, bicycling, motorcycling, rock climbing, anything that gets them outside. I want to talk to them and find out why they do that. And then also we ask them, because we are a Christian podcast, to share their faith journey while we're on the show with them. And it has been fascinating getting to talk to people about that. And my little tagline is Christian Outdoors is where we talk about all things outdoors and how to enjoy God every day. And
And
that
so
was
it's
really the launching pad for me.
it's really interesting because the amount of times you'll hear people, I just went out into nature and I felt like I was able to connect with God.
Yeah.
Pete, that's not my experience. My experience is I don't want to connect with a mosquito.
Yeah, I can. There's one that I like to share because it was pretty life changing for me, Shiraz. And this happened almost 20 years ago, but I was up in Alaska hunting moose. And when you're doing that, you try to get to high elevations so you can see a lot of country because you're using your binoculars more than your legs to find them and stuff. And I was sitting up there on top of this mountain. I could see as far as the eye could see in any direction, just 50,
Okay.
60, 70 miles in any direction. And
Oh wow,
to
okay.
my right was a glacier about 15 miles away, but you could see it very clearly. And I'm just sitting there just in awe of all of God's creation. And I felt like I felt very insignificant. I was sitting there striving. I thought, man, look at all this stuff that God made. And nobody in the planet knows where I am except God. Right. I mean, I am just one little speck out here in the wilderness of Alaska, and I felt so insignificant. And then I had this thought that came to mind, and it was this. It was, no, Pete, you're not insignificant. That glacier is not made in the image of God. And these
Oh
willow trees are
man.
not made in the image of God. That mountain that's just so beautiful is not made in the image of God, but that I am made in the image of God. And that as beautiful as this painting is, as a human being, I am the signature on that masterpiece because I am made in the image of God. And it transformed me in a lot of ways to realize that as as much care as God took in making this mountain and in this glacier and these beautiful willows and trees that I was seeing and these animals, that as much care as he took in those, he took greater care in making me because I carry his image. And that was one of the most life-changing things that I've ever experienced, right? And that's one of hundreds because I spend 250 days a year outdoors. And so that's one of the best examples that I have.
I am overwhelmed just hearing what you're saying. It's like you can be in Alaska, glacier to your left, mountains to the other side, and still you got the sense from God that
Mm.
you are still the most important apple of his eye.
Right, right. And I don't say that in a boastful way that Pete is,
No, no,
just
no.
as, and I think that's a word
Yeah,
for everyone listening is that as human beings, we are image bearers of the Creator. And
yeah.
and that, for your listeners out there, you are the signature on his masterpiece. You are the most important thing he's ever made.
My wife and I recently had the opportunity to cross a item off our bucket list. We were able to go to the Grand Canyon.
Oh,
And so we went, we on the rim, but we also went down as well. Like we were right at the bottom and just by the Colorado River.
mm,
And I got to tell you, I felt really, really, really small in
yeah,
that moment. Like you're looking up at this wall over here, this mountain wall here, this mountain wall here, and where we were, the two rivers came together, and there's a mountain wall right in front of us.
hmm,
Man, you are so tiny, and yet you have the nerve to say that God feels that we are more important than
yeah,
the magnanimous elements that we can see in nature.
yeah, yeah. I do, and I mean, one of the things that somebody said years ago is we're only promised so many sunrises, and I want to see as many of those as I can. And so
Oh,
I'm a
wow.
riser. I get outdoors, try to get outdoors, 5, 6 days a week to watch the
Hold on,
sunrise.
hold on, hold on. I gotta repeat that. We're only promised a set amount of sunrises, so you better get out there and enjoy as many as you can. All right, you just transformed my next vacation, literally. And when we get off air, I'll tell you all about that. That is absolutely fascinating. And it's true, this life is finite in nature. In the Psalms we read about, it's we're literally like a vapor, like
Right.
mist that comes and goes and no one will ever know in between. It's just here and gone. When we come back from this short break, let's speak about the concepts and constructs of life. Because you're the one that just said that you went moose hunting. Now, I'm not coming after hunters, but I'd love to jump into that a little bit. We'll be right back.
My name is Siddique.
Hey, it's Tracy Mighty.
Hi, my name is Albert Brandstetter. I am an investment advisor with National Bank Financial. I've been an advisor for over 35 years.
And the CBHN community has allowed me to connect with like-minded professionals that have helped reshape my career goals with the added benefit of strengthening my faith journey.
And CBHN has helped me uncover and rediscover the passion for entrepreneurship.
And I have to tell you, what I have learned and gleaned from the others who are part of CBHN has brought me to new heights, not just in my career, but personal life as well.
Come to CBHN every Thursday at 7 p.m. and you will see the amazing promises of God that He has for your life come to pass.
I think you should take a look.
And welcome back to the In Pursuit of podcast. Today, of course, we're in conversation with Pete Rogers, the original outdoors man. I don't know about the other people out there. He's the real stuff because when he gets out there and hangs out with his heavenly Father.
Yes.
Pete, hunting, fishing is almost like this accepted form of art or industry in which you can enjoy a meal, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes people feel like these outdoor people, they're killing innocent animals. And I tell you, I grew up in a home where my dad had 3 rifles, a double barrel, a sniper, like a rifle, not sniper, a rifle, right, for pinpoint accuracy because he was a big hunter. And he also had this powerful buckshot gun. Like it's just like it. I'm okay with hunting. A lot of people aren't.
Mhm.
What are you saying to people who are, yeah, you're out there, outdoors guy, enjoying, the beauty of God, but then you're taking life. How do you reconcile that conversation with somebody?
I get that a lot. Do you want the science or you want my emotional side? So I'll give you both really quick.
Please, yeah.
The science is very, very true, Shiraz, that hunters are the greatest conservationists. Most of the big game species in North America are on the verge of extinction in the early part of the 19th century, or the 20th century, rather, around the turn of 1900. Most of the big game species were on the verge of extinction because of wanton hunting to fill. This was pre-USDA inspected meat, right? So they were killing these animals to feed the restaurants in the big cities in the East, and they were just slaughtering them. And hunters are the ones who said, "Wait a minute, we need to regulate this, or we're going to run out of animals, and we need to save these species, not just so we can hunt them, but for the sake of saving species." So there was a myriad of things that they started doing. One, that they started instituting seasons of hunting. They started instituting bag limits, which for the novice, that means how many you can kill during a season of a specific species. And that gets very convoluted depending on species. I mean, we can break it down, but whether it's birds or big game animals or even small game, rabbits and squirrels and things like that, there's a daily limit and a season limit that you can take on these so that you're not over harvesting the animals in a specific area. And the third thing hunters did in 1933, I think it was they lobbied for the Pittman-Robertson Act. And what the Pittman-Robertson Act did is we hunters and fishermen placed on ourselves an 11% excise tax on everything we buy in the industry. Everything. Guns, ammunition, scopes, fishing rods, fishing lures, everything. We taxed ourselves so that money would be earmarked for research and protection of wildlife.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and because of that, we have more wildlife in North America today than we had at the discovery of the Americas. Okay. And it's because of what hunters have done in order to protect these species. Now, having said that, for clarity,
Yeah. Now, folks, I got to tell you, this is not an NRA podcast that you're listening to. That's not what the conversation is. The conversation is conservation.
Mhm.
And a lot of these elements were put in place to do that. Now, up in Canada, it's a little different. We're regulated very differently than you are in the States. Our
Right.
ability to have guns, like you're not allowed, right? There's only certain types of guns you're allowed. So we're regulated extremely differently than what you
Right.
are in the States. Now, you mentioned something about the emotional side. In emotional, what would this is the part I'm really curious about. Uh, what's your emotional take?
Well, there's I think it was Leo what's his name? Aldo Leopold, that was his name, who, when he wrote in the Sand Country Almanac, one of the greatest pieces of outdoor literature ever, he talked about the different stages of hunters, right? And I'll be 60 next week, so I'm at a different stage. I'm at the up in the stage, but for me, it's not about taking an animal's life, even though I eat everything that I take, process it myself, handle it. I do the whole thing. If I kill a deer, that's what we have here in South Carolina, is then I'm going to take care of that whole animal myself. I think I owe it to the animal if I took its life, then to do the entire process, whether I'm canning the meat or making jerky or grinding it into burger, whatever it is. I eat every part of the animal that can be eaten, without. I'm not big on the internal organs, okay, but you understand what I'm saying. All right,
Yeah,
but
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah. So for me, it's not about taking the animal. It's about the pursuit. It's about being there to watch those sunrises and to see what I term undisturbed wildlife doing what they would be doing even if I wasn't there. It is fascinating to me to watch squirrels go bury acorns that they're going to find later when it's cold and they're hungry. It's fascinating to me to watch little rabbits come just slinking out because everything eats a rabbit. You talking about a paranoid animal? That poor fella is paranoid. Okay, because everything eats a rabbit, and just to watch him as he's looking around, trying to make sure that it's safe to eat, and even whether it's deer or turkeys, wild turkey is my favorite animal to hunt. And the intelligence these animals have and trying to match wits with them is what I get excited about. I've told people hundreds of times, Shiraz, that I could take many more animals than I actually do, legally and opportunity wise. I don't kill all that I'm allowed to kill in my state because that's not what it's about. It's about being there and experiencing wildlife and seeing nature just being nature. And
Ladies
for
and
me,
gentlemen,
that's invigorating. That's exciting.
ladies and gentlemen, we're in conversation with Pete Rogers. I'm wondering if I were to say, hey, hang out with Pete and learn how to catch a rabbit, and it's going to take you 5 hours, or you get to scroll on your device, right? You get to scroll on your device for 5 hours. Which one would we naturally choose just because? And I think that there are opportunities to get out there. In your book, when we're going to take a short break. When we come back, let's get into your book a little bit. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great.
We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, well done. A Passionate Pursuit of Purpose is now available. This book was written so you don't have to leave your eternity to chance. It's for someone who is a little restless and simply looking for their next move, but doesn't know where to begin. If you feel like there is still more in your core to explore, and you want to experience the fullness of what was deposited within your DNA, then well done. A Passionate Pursuit of Purpose could be the very tool you need to send you in the direction of your destiny. Available now on Amazon and welldonebook.info. That's welldonebook.info.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're in conversation with Pete Rogers. Not only is he an outdoor enthusiast, he's very thoughtful about how he engages in the outdoors, but he's also inspired enough to capture many of those moments of enjoying the greatness and grandeur of God in God's country. And he's captured a lot of that in book form. What was the rationale behind, all right, Pete, let's write a book? Huh? Where did that all come from?
That's a lot. I've actually written 6 books, but the one we're going to talk about today, and some of them are behind me, is in addition to loving the outdoors, I also love theology, right? I have a master's in divinity, so I love theology, and I like different kinds of stuff. So I like to read theology. I know for a lot of people, they're like,
I need to stop you right there. Folks, if you've been watching this in any way, shape, or form, and you thought you had Pete figured out, and you thought that you would throw a stereotype on him, you're sadly mistaken. And I think that's part of the problem here. It's like we're not open enough to allow people in our lives that might not look like us, feel like us, or think like us to be able to celebrate. But that doesn't take away from the hard work that they've put in. So I just wanted to celebrate you for a moment, right? Like take the time so people don't think that, oh, redneck backwoods. What are you talking about? Pete has his master's. As a matter of fact, he's written 6 or 7 books. And I really want to talk about this one right here. I apologize for interrupting. It's just sometimes I hear that type of thing, right? And I don't got space or time for that. So I appreciate you. Thank you. And this book is all about 12 steps. Let's go. My apologies, man. Sorry for the rant. I just got to get that out.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I appreciate what you said in your kind of words there. But I was reading the Westminster Shorter Catechism, which was written by the Presbyterian Church in Scotland in 1627, I believe it was. And for those who don't know what a catechism is in the Protestant church, it's a teaching tool. It was a way that the church devised in order to instruct new converts on who God is, what the Bible is, what's the meaning of life, how the church operates. And it was written in a question answer form. That's the short version of it. And question 1 of the Westminster Shorter Catechism is this. And remember, 1627 language. Okay, but I'll modernize it in a second. It's written like this. What's the chief end of mankind? And the answer, the chief end of mankind is to glorify God and to enjoy him forever. So I thought, no, that's a good Sunday school answer. And I went to the next one and wait a minute. And to enjoy him forever. And Shiraz, that just stuck in my brain for like weeks. And to enjoy, and I just kept going back and reading. Now, the modern version of that is when it says, what's the chief end of mankind? What they're saying is, what's the meaning of life? Why are we here? What's the purpose here? And anthropologists for centuries have said that of all civilizations that have ever been studied, they know that every civilization has two primary questions at the core of their belief system. Why are we here, and what happens when we die?
Okay.
And I'm going to address the first one here. And so in this catechism, it said, our purpose for being here is to glorify God and to enjoy Him forever. So I asked myself, enjoy Him forever. Does that mean when we die and get to glory, is that when our enjoying God begins?
Okay,
Or has
so
it
I just want to make
begun?
sure I understand this. You're redefining what the starting point of forever. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes. When does forever begin?
Okay.
And
Okay.
I know. And so that's what I was struggling with. And so in my brain, I'm thinking, well, it's already begun for Pete because I'm alive. It started when I was conceived, because I believe life starts at conception.
Okay.
It started when I was conceived and goes on for eternity because I'm going to spend eternity in heaven with Jesus, right? So if our purpose for being here is to enjoy God forever, why aren't I enjoying Him now? Or I ask myself this, am I enjoying God now? And I realize this, Shiraz, is that I acknowledge God, I
Okay.
recognize God, I pray to
Okay.
God,
Okay.
I I worship God, I love God, I tolerate God sometimes, but am I enjoying Him? And I
Okay.
thought, I don't think I am. Not the
Mm.
way that I think this is meant. So I dove into the scriptures. And I dove into the scriptures, said, what does this mean for Pete? And it sent me on a journey. This started in 2014. Okay. And so here we are almost 10 years later. And just a deep pursuit of every day I'd wake up and say, Pete, how are you going to enjoy God today? How are you going to enjoy God today? And it made me very intentional to seek a way to enjoy God today, not just recognize Him, not just say, "Hey, that's a beautiful sunrise." That's acknowledging something God's doing. It's not enjoying Him intimately and personally.
Okay, so
So,
I just want to make sure I'm saying you're splitting the hair
mhm,
between being around something enjoyable and so this external element and creating a place within you that joy is springing out from within, a real experience, a real engagement with the creator of the universe to be able to enjoy God from a place of purity. I'm gonna ask you a different question. I'm
okay,
gonna ask you, as I ask every guest to close off every show, every episode, is what are you in pursuit of? And does it really bring you joy?
all right. What I'm in pursuit of is a as deep a relationship as humanly possible to have with my Creator. I try and strive every day, and I fail a lot. I want to make that clear to the listeners. I'm like Paul said, the worst sinner of all. Okay,
You got competition. You got competition. I'm pretty
no, I
bad
think
too.
I am. I'm the worst sinner. I'm the worst
No,
sinner.
no, on the worst side.
I fail every day, Shiraz, every day. But I can't remember the theologian who said it now about the hound of heaven, how God pursues us as the hound pursues the deer. I'm kind of in the opposite in my walk with Christ now. I am pursuing Him. I am seeking a way to enjoy every aspect of God and Jesus every single day. And whether that is if I go to the store and I encounter somebody, I want to make their day better because God has made me better just by waking me up and I get to see what today is. I want to do all I can every single day to make my life better by making other people's life better, by being the best person that I can be. And in doing that, that gets me closer to God. And the closer I get to Him, the more joy I have in everything. And
Pete,
the more I try to enjoy Him, the more joy I have.
so Pete, in a practical way, what are some ways that potentially someone can step outside of their front door and begin to enjoy God more?
I think the practical thing is to recognize that you are an image bearer of God and that whatever you see and do impacts everybody around you. That when you are in a relationship with God or you recognize that you carry His image, that you were made specifically to enjoy him, and that God put his thumbprint on you, and you're here for a reason. Acts 17:23 tells us, when Paul's talking to the men of Athens, he says that from one man he made all men of the world, and he determined the time set for you and the place you should live. You are right here, right now, for a reason. Going
Ladies
through
and gentlemen.
what you're supposed to go through for a reason. And
Yeah.
You matter. You matter to God.
Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully what Pete has invested in us today is hitting and resonating. You matter to God. You are here for a reason, but we're also the visual that someone else is looking at to see if they can find God, because sometimes it's hard. Will you be that reflection of his image for people to see his goodness so they can also pursue God in a more passionate and fascinating way? Pete, thanks for coming on. We know you're already scheduled with us to come back in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that conversation as well. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us on the In Pursuit Of podcast. Definitely follow us on our socials and consider this your personal invitation to join our Thursday night CBHN Zoom calls at 7 p.m. EST as we challenge each other to pursue the fullness of what God has for our lives. And remember, Matthew 7:7 says, "Seek and you'll find." We pray you too will walk in the fullness of your purposes.